So the students here have all read the book, and we thought we would start by having them offer a few reflections on how they felt about
I'm very
about the
happy
book.
to read that.
So do you want to, you could just stand in your place and
And
read.
talk, yeah. Just stand up.
Who was first, Jordana?
Just first. Yes.
Reading.
Number one, what's your name?
Jordana
Jordana?
Rach.
Oh, here.
Reading I Have Lived 1,000 Years really touched me and changed me as a person. It helped me to understand the panic of those who don't know if they will live to see tomorrow, and helped me to appreciate every single moment of my own life. I Have Lived 1,000 Years was a big eye-opener to me of the experiences of all of those who lived through the Holocaust. I cried many times while reading this book, and I can only imagine the pain of someone who went through it. It also helped me realize that every person who has put through this traumatizing experience has a story just like yours, although many never had a chance to share theirs. I admire your courage that was shown throughout the story and that you never lost hope in surviving. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much.
Who else?
Now, the point is,
We have 6.
I know, but there was no question, so there is nothing for me to answer.
They just want to share with you how they felt.
Thank you very much.
Is that okay?
Yes, but I just would like to say, as I was listening to you, Jordan, that that's really what I wanted to achieve with the book. I wanted to write it in a way where anyone who read it could feel as if he or she was there, as if he or she went through the same feelings, emotions, fears, panic, and in many places gratitude. And thank God that it hit you this way, that's the way it reached you. And I'm very happy and very grateful to you that you told me this, that this is how you feel after having read the book, because this is precisely what I wanted to do. Precisely. So thank you very much. Hashem Yevarichu.
Amen.
Anybody else? Yes, please.
My name is Ayala.
Please tell me louder your name.
Ayala
Ayelet, what's the last name?
Wiederhorn. Wiederhorn.
Wiederhorn. Okay, Ayelet, yes.
I think the most important lesson I learned from this story is the importance of family. Throughout the book, you, your mother, and Bubby all relied on one another to survive. You gave each other food while the other one was sick. When Bubby got shot in the head, you and your mom were there to help him, and he recovered. When you were together, you felt stronger, worked harder, and just did an overall better job at surviving.
Thank you very much. You are absolutely right. The feeling of family is very strong. And maybe Dafka, the Shoah, brought it out even more strongly. Because when we were separated, it was such a horrible, horrible sensation. When my father went away, you probably read that part, that it just worked out that I couldn't say goodbye to him. And the sense of loss, you know that I never recovered from it. Even today when I see a father and a child, just so happens yesterday I took a taxi to go somewhere, and the driver, it was late at night, oh yes, in the Young Israel here in Netanya, they had a program for the Shoah, and I was there and the rabbi introduced me. So on the way back I called for this guy who owns the taxi, and he came, and there was a young boy about 8 years old, in pajamas, next to his father. It was about 10 o'clock in the evening, it was late. So I said to him, what are you doing here in your pajamas? He he says, well, my Abba said he's going to pick somebody up, and I wanted to be with my Abba. These were the words in Hebrew. Would you understand it if I said it in Hebrew?
Yeah.
Yes.
He said, what is it? He says, Ani ratziti להיות עם האבא שלי. And when he said that, even today, do you know how old I am today? 85 years old. I'm not a child, I am a mature adult, over mature. And yet, when he said to me, אני רציתי להיות עם האבא שלי, suddenly I had before me the picture of my father going away. I saw only the back of his head and neck and the carriage on which he was taken away went further into the distance. When he said that, I suddenly, that's what I saw, and I said, my God, הוא רוצה להיות עם האבא שלו. גם אני רוצה להיות עם האבא שלי. I also want to be with my Abba. Even today, you know, you are never a grown. The child is always there. And really the family feeling is very, very strong. And I suddenly felt so close to this little boy, so I took out 10 shekel and I gave it to him. I said, you know, Ori, take this by yourself, so I give you that. Okay, please, next person.
Noam Haro.
Noam
Haro. Haro.
Haram.
Haron, okay.
There are many important lessons that I learned from your book. I learned that many people died for no reason. I learned that people were enslaved. I got to read a story of someone who survived and got the inside scoop of what really happened in those camps. Through your book, I got to witness how terrible the lives were through this story. The way you told about the loss and the way you got through it was extremely empowering. You showed that the Jews were one nation. I have lived 1,000 years was an inspiration for me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Who's that? Anybody next?
Just make a difference.
Hi, I'm Rena Marlowe.
Lena Marlowe.
I Have Lived 1,000 Years is the most interesting book we read this year. It shows how important it is to be proud of your religion. You inspired me and showed me how important it is to have faith and stay hopeful. You never gave up, even when you were put in the line to be gassed. You tried again and believed that you'd be able to pass. I think no matter how life is going, if you aren't hopeful and faithful, you won't be able to make it through all right. You also showed me the importance of loyalty. Even though you and your mother weren't so close at the beginning of the war, you still did everything to take care of her, even when you put yourself at risk.
Thank you very much. It's beautiful to see how everybody finds another angle. For instance, the angle of emunah, faith. You are ready to talk, but is it okay? Thank you very much. You see, emunah, faith. It's a very interesting thing. I think that's very important. It was very important in survival. Very important. You know, it so happens, I don't think I wrote that down in the book, but there was a young woman, she was much older than I, from our town, our rabbi's daughter, a beautiful young woman. Her name was Yolanka. She was about 18 or 19 when I was only 13. This was quite at the beginning. And she came over to me in the barrack and said, Ellie, I want to talk to you. So I went outside with her. It was dark, nobody noticed us. We sat down and she said to me, you know, Ellie, I decided to go to the fence. I have no fences that surrounded the camp in Auschwitz were highly electrified wires. So you know what happened when we went to it and we touched it? Some people did it and we saw. The moment you touched it, the whole body became black, and fell down. It took only 1 second, and we were electrified and burned to a crisp. And Yolanka said to me, and I don't know why she came to me, because I was the youngest from our town who was there. All the other kids were older. I don't know why she spoke to me. She called me up and she says, Ellie, I want you to witness. Right now, I am going to the fence. And I said, please, Yolanka, don't do it. I beg you, don't do it. What are you doing to your parents when we go home and we meet our parents? How will I go and tell your father and mother that you electrified yourself and I didn't talk you out of it? Please don't put me in such a spot. I'm sure we'll see our parents and I am going to, you will be proud that you did not commit suicide. It so happens, Yolanka listened to me. Her parents did not survive. She never saw her parents. But she survived. I was at her wedding. A year after we returned home, she met a very nice boy. She got married. And years later, I met her in America, in the United States. She lived in New York. She had a large family. She had 7 children. I did not want to tell her, Yolanka, do you see what happened that you did? I didn't want to say it, but I didn't have to say it. She knew. Every time we met, she knew it. I remember her first child she called Mordecai, and my father's name was Mordecai. And I said, Yolanka, I am so proud. And you see, so this is the matter of faith, emunah. She did not have emunah. Okay, she was right. We never saw her parents. But life went on. If you had emunah, then you had a future. And that's, I'll tell you later a little story about emunah, a little Hasidic story. But I want to give you first. Yes, sir.
My name is Eitan Israel.
Eitan
Israel. Yeah.
Israel.
I learned many lessons that will stick with me for the rest of my life from your amazing book. I learned that there are many people who have been through events way worse than anything I have. From now on, I won't take anything for granted. I was amazed by the love you had for your family, even in hard times. I also learned how strong the need of survival is within a person. Throughout the war, you need to survive and kept striving to stay alive. I learned that if you want something really badly and try as hard as you can achieve it. These lessons I will take with me for the rest of my life.
Wonderful. Yishar Kocha. Wonderful. That's exactly what I wanted. Very much I wanted to give this lesson. Number 1, never give up. Number 2, life is worth it. The Kadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us. The Kadosh Baruch Hu, we are responsible to God for the life we have. And it's precious. And we are responsible to save it, to further it, to flourish as much as possible. Thank you very much.
I'm Ashley Shapiro.
Would you please speak up louder?
I'm Ashley Shapiro.
Ashley. Very good.
I'm so impressed with your bravery in your book. I can't imagine being 13 or 14 and going through the war. You were strong when times were hard, and you helped your mom throughout. Your story is very inspirational, and every middle school student should read it, understand how life was for people our age. Thank you for sharing your story and for meeting with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. You don't know Kindle happy You don't know. To know, because I get many letters. Do you know that in the beginning when there was no email, you know, I got letters in the mail and I kept them. I have them in boxes. Right now I have 2,800 letters, and then the computer came up and I started to get emails. And you know where else I get a lot of letters from? Japan. Because the book was translated into Japanese, one of the languages, Japanese. And in Japan, because children read it and they were very much moved by it, they established a Holocaust Center in Tokyo and another one in Kyoto. And the head of the Holocaust Center in Tokyo came to Israel to meet me. She's a lovely woman, Osaka Yoshimori. And she came a few times already to Israel. And so they have a Holocaust Center in Tokyo and in Kyoto. And the Japanese kids are so emotional. I never knew that. And they wrote to me such beautiful, not in Japanese, they wrote it in English because they knew I don't know Japanese. And they wrote in English, beautiful letters. So just to know that all over the world, children learn these basic lessons of the appreciation of life, appreciation of emunah, of love, of loyalty, of family, and of never give up, never.
So one or two more?
Yeah. When reading I Have Lived 1,000 Years and learning about the Holocaust, some might say that they would stand up to the Nazis if they were in this particular situation. But would they really? It would take more than one person to make a difference and actually have an effect on the situation and not just be killed. So what I took away from this book was that us Jews need to unify as a people and stand up to our enemies in dire times of need. We can't stand idly by and watch our nation perish. We must stand up and be proud of our religion.
So that about Bob, you didn't tell us your name.
Rebecca Dion.
Rebecca Diane. Thank you, Rebecca. That's an interesting point Rebecca's made. You know, I thought of it after the Shoah. Would it have been possible to resist? Now, in some places, the Jews resisted. We know that there was an uprising even in Warsaw Ghetto, in some of the ghetto. But once you were in Auschwitz, there's nothing. You were so completely demobilized. Your whole personality was denuded. And what could you do? You had two hands. Could you jump on a German and kill him? No. The moment you moved, you would be shot. So it would mean the loss of your life for nothing. So thank you very much for your comments. Any more? Yes.
Maya Jubis. Maya Jubis.
Maya,
Jubis.
how do you spell it?
Jubas.
Oh, that's interesting. J-U-B-A-S.
Yeah.
Do you know what it means?
No, I don't know what it means. In Polish, it's spelled D-Z-U-I-B-A-S.
D-U-I.
D-Z-U-I.
Oh, D-Jubas.
Yeah.
D-Z. You know, I did a research on last names of Jews because it is very interesting how Jews got their last name. Jubas, D-Z-U, interesting. Anyway, I don't know.
Reading your book, there were 3 parts that I really connected to. The first is when your father was taken away to a camp and your family didn't wake you up to say goodbye to him. Another one is when you saw your brother on the other side of the fence. All you wanted was to see your brother and reunite with your family, but he was too injured and broken to care. When you were put into the bad line, you ran to the other side. All of these parts made me wonder, what would I do? Your courage was incredible, and your loyalty was amazing. And comparing it to myself, I don't think I would have survived.
You know, oh, I'm sorry, what was your first name?
Maya.
Maya. Maya, my feeling is that you, Maya, my feeling is that you would have survived. Maya, my feeling is that you would have done exactly what I did, because there's nothing special about it. I was just a young girl thrown into a situation where I did just a moment of what that moment required. I think all of you would have done it, you know that? My feeling is that it's very easy to idealize somebody who wrote a book. The truth is that you would have had no choice, other than there is this young woman, Yolanka, who wanted to commit suicide. But otherwise, people did what they felt that they had to do in order to make it. Make it, this moment, make it. Now my mother, for instance, because she was so badly injured, she had no core. She lost her interest in living. But a young woman, a young girl like you, by the way, how old are you?
14.
Same age. Same age, it's interesting. Hasba Shalom that you should have to face such decisions in such conditions. Hashem Ishmor al Am Israel, that nothing bad should happen to us. But you believe me, all of you would have done the same. All of you. I have no doubt about it, as I look at your faces. You have those faces that power, that radiance, are sinking. Just a little more.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I'm Shira Cohen. So at first, I just want to say something really quick that relates to the question I'm about to ask. So while I was reading your book and I heard your story, I heard that before the war you weren't as close with your mother, and then during the war you became much closer with her. After reading your book, I'm much closer with my mom now than I ever have been.
Yes.
So here's
That's nice. I mean, that's
Thank-
really
So here's my question. All through the Holocaust, I heard of different people who had different motivations to live, such as going to America, to Palestine, finding a loved one, or just surviving. When I read your book, I saw that your relationship with your mother changed into camps. I saw that you risked your life many times for your mother, and that you barely left her side. What was your motivation to live? Was your motivation to live keeping you and your mother alive? If not, was it something different?
You know what? It had a lot to do with the fact that I wanted to make sure my mother makes it. And I think that helped me. You are absolutely right. One of the very strongest point in motivation was that I myself, I didn't even think that it's so important for me to make it. But I must make it for the sake of my mother. You are right, absolutely. It was so strong that I think that if my mother wouldn't have been there with me, it's very possible that I also wouldn't have had that strong push. Because you see, when you don't eat, when you're very hungry, and every day you lose weight until you become skeletal, you don't have core. You know, you don't have the strength. The physical strength itself is very important in survival. If you don't have the strength, how do I need to hug you? But being that I have to take care of my mother, also gave me a lot of strength and motivation. Do you know that my mother, we survived, we went back to our original home, then we ended up in the United States, and then I always wanted